we are all kings and queens and emperors and empresses running around carrying some sort of crown someone put on us and going to this meeting and behaving here and behaving there. Even when you go to school and the other parents and then, oh no, what will they think of me, and I have to behave, constantly behaving. And it's so sad. And no wonder we are all in a mass depression, hidden behind some screen of we see ourselves on Instagram. That's again why I did the movie. I really felt that Sissi was the first victim of that, celebrity thing. And we are now all becoming Sissi, because we all know how we look and we become our own dictator telling us, oh, you have to lose weight, or you have to look like this, or why do you look like this morning? And who told us this? You're not born thinking like this. How wonderful. Imagine how beautiful it would be. All these beautiful people walking upright, straight, looking straight ahead, thinking, here I am, this is me, it's totally fine. And who are you?
Filmmaker Magazine presents Back to One with Peter Rinaldi.
Vicky Krieps is an actor. This is her second time on the podcast. First time was episode 174. This time she's back in New York City on the occasion of the release of her new film, Corsage. That's where she sat down with me to talk about the work. A quick note about this interview. Despite going through great lengths to secure a distraction-free location to do this recording, it was marred by loud chatter in the beginning, followed by 2 interruptions. The first one we decided to keep in because it becomes a point of conversation. The second one was cut out because it was a much less charming interruption and actually led to us having to change locations. But through it all, Vicky Krieps was more than just a trooper. She was a helpful teammate. So anyway, my apologies for so much inconsistency in the sound quality, but I think you'll enjoy this conversation regardless.
To get right into it, actually this is exactly what I talk about when I talk about this movie. And in general, when I talk about my job, is I am a big fan of mistakes. I really don't want to, I think I told you this last time, but I really don't aim for the perfect exercise. And I don't invite people to the cinema to see me do my homework. I do my homework and then I want to play.
Yes.
So what I share with the audience is the play. And I even invite them to play. And the best way to invite someone to play is to make them see that, look over here, I'm doing mistakes. You're allowed to be human as well,
Yes.
It's like an invitation to be human and to create some sort of, alive dialogue, because I feel that we live in a world where we are really asleep, a lot, most of the time. And this is something as a child already that didn't sit with me really well. And so I turned more to trees and other things I could talk to, because it felt, I don't know why, but it was really actually hurtful to see that I'm surrounded by people, but they are almost like not at home. Like I would always go to them and try and look into the eyes. And I think this has become my work in a way. And the film we're talking about now is a film that I did really out of this deep frustration of seeing this happen again as an actor. Oh, this is how you make a film. This is how you act when you portray an empress. This is how, I show everyone that I did my homework and I'm really good at this. I'm really, look at me, actors are probably always desperately in need for love and attention, which I am too. I'm not superhuman, but at least I always want to step out of that and take the risk of aushalten, we say in German, which means holding, almost like holding something, holding a breath or holding a pain. And I go into this place where I am vulnerable and I don't know if I will be loved, because I don't know if people will get what I'm doing. And I almost know that I'm consciously leaving the path of the Empress. But I go to that room so that I become alive, so that they can be alive, And that was really much making this film, was really knowing that I'm risking everything. I'm really risking losing the audience at every moment. And now the miracle happened, and I'm not losing the audience, but the audience comes my way.
Isn't that amazing? And this, what you're saying right now, is what I wrote down, which is what you said the other night, which is, summing up basically what you're saying here, which is, I'm interested in art, not in the exercise.
Yeah.
So rather than showing you how well I understand history, or how well I can interpret history, or how well I can play another person that I'm not anyway, I invite you to see me play like a child. And I want you to play too, from the heart, when you see me play.
Yes.
But how did you deal with trying to remove yourself from the burden of playing this person well, or getting it right? That there's nothing good that can come from that thinking of that, right?
Yeah.
But you don't have that when you're playing somebody that doesn't exist, because you're creating. You're talking about creating in the moment.
Yes.
But just knowing this person existed, and they basically went through this period, July 1878, you know what I mean? Before, how did you not let that burden get to you so that you can play?
Well, I had it in the beginning a lot. I mean, I really, even though it was my idea to make the movie, once there was a script, I did get scared, of course. But maybe that goes with what I said, I am scared, and I embrace the being scared, and I let go of my need of understanding what I'm doing. So one could be, I have to do her justice. I have to do her justice. And I had these voices in my head. But what I do is, I don't have the antidote. But I accept that I am a complex person who's full of doubts and full of voices in her head. And and I just let it be. I think that's what it is really. And the first day of shooting, I remember I had to step out of my makeup trailer, obviously. And that's when it hit me really hard. And I got a real, I think you can call it a panic attack. I started crying and was shaking all over, and I thought, I can't do it. I cannot go out there and pretend that I'm not only an empress, but the empress. And step in front of these technicians and wear all these robes and this hair. And it's even beyond, sometimes I will say it's like this complex we actors have sometimes of being an imposter. It was really beyond. It was also the fear of calling on a ghost and maybe the ghost not agreeing with me. Maybe who am I? Because so little is known about her in the end. I mean, there has been so much writing about her. But who she really was, I think she didn't even know who she was. And she was broken in her life by society so many, many times. They broke her to become this perfect vehicle of royalty, or however you call it. That I think she forgot who she was. If she used to know who she was when she was younger, or a child, or But I think once she was this empress creature thing with the crown on her head, she forgot who she was. So now there's no way for me to know that I'm doing the right thing. But of course I have this need. Again, I'm not superhuman. I have the same fears as everyone, and I have the same pressure and the same voice and the same little voice telling you, oh no, but you have to do it right. Like, who are you? What if you go wrong? What if you upset the ghost of Elizabeth in a way?
Yeah.
So what I did, and that really carried me through the whole shoot, was I closed my eyes and I took Elizabeth on my right hand and Romy Schneider on my left, because this was another thing, having seen that not only the person herself had suffered from it, the person who played her the first time suffered from it all her life. She couldn't get rid of this princess image all her life. She was trying to play difficult roles. She was trying to break it. She did in a way, but she was so much more. I mean, Romy Schneider was a force of nature, and she could have probably played anything she wants. But they didn't let her. They always brought her back to being this beautiful woman. Which, again, yes, she was a beautiful woman, but she was much more. And I knew that even if nowadays we still have a long way to go, and there's so much more to be healed, and to be reconciliated. Still, I know I'm now already this new version of a woman who can at least misbehave. I'm not expecting people to approve, but I know that no one will stop me. No one will come with a police warrant and say, "Stop acting like this, you're a woman, you're supposed to look pretty," or whatever. And I consciously used this freedom, internally imagining Sissi and Romy coming with me, and I said to them, and now we go to the playground. Because these two women, you know, they had great lives and everything, but they were never allowed to just play, to just do a mistake, to just be silly, to be wrong, to be ugly. And this carried me, because even though I love Marie and I loved our work together, there was nothing really holding me. I remember standing in these great halls and castles and surrounded by extras and everything. There was nothing that could hold me except of myself. I had to carry myself every day. And one thing I did was I tried to exclude myself from everything too social and stay a little bit for myself, you know, so that because the coldness that she has, Sissi, is a coldness I cannot have. I didn't know how to tap into that. And this comes back to your question, how do you then, because you do have to play her, how do you do that? And I did two things. Was I isolated myself from having a good time and drinking coffee on set with, you know, my colleagues, kept away from my phone, to maintain this distance that helped me be a little colder than I usually am, and not drop it as soon as I become the friend. Because I'm everyone's friend. I love being everyone's friend. I help everyone. So these were the two things. And consciously thinking of Sissi and Romy, and thus about all these millions of other women who were not able to go to the playground ever. You know.
Well, see, I believe that I don't want to even say that, because I don't want to ruin what you said. Meaning by adding my own thing about how I believe this so much. I believe that you work with spirits. You know, I believe people work with spirits, and I have to cut that out because that sounds just so dumb. You know what I mean? Like this kind of thing.
True.
But I really think that they, the energy of them, work through you. Yes. I just believe it.
No, me too. And I also believe that even if it sounds crazy, I knew that they were like, "Yes, Vicky, please.
Yes.
Yes, take us there.
Yeah.
Like, let me flip my finger once."
Yes.
Like, I really could feel that, and I do feel sometimes, and I don't think it's crazy at all. I do think that I'm a medium. Because
I believe it.
Since I do this job, the only thing I remember doing is trying to empty myself, to become empty and stupid and like a baby, and then things happen. And that's definitely not only me. Like how it couldn't. Yeah. And it would be boring, by the way, too.
Right.
Imagine it would all be rational.
Right.
How boring. Then what do? Then we come up with another 5 other equations that we then again elaborate until we find some other sort of internet to then again have, and then what?
Yeah.
That's really not what makes us...
Right. So, but the other thing that you said, which I have to ask about, is the idea of having to work in this coldness, and you realizing that you have to kind of stay away from people. This must have been hard, because from what you talked about last time, what I'm gathering is that, like, just that energy of working with people, and not just working with people when the camera's rolling, but being able to like use that energy of the other person is part of your tools that you use, right?
I have goosebumps. That's exactly,
So how were you able to work without that energy? Or did you use it because
I still used it. Yeah, there was a long email one day I wrote to the whole crew, actually, because there was only one day where I remember suddenly I could feel them, and they were really in my way, in my viewfinder. So I wrote a long email to them, and I said, okay, I have to start this saying, I love you all, and I just want you to understand what I'm doing over here while you do what you do over there. And what I do is I make believe that I am 1860, which we are not, and you all agree. So this resides solely on my shoulders. Like, this happens in my brain, in my head. I believe it, and because I believe it, audiences will believe. So yes, of course, please help me. Don't stand in the with your Starbucks coffee in the vision field of this. But, and then I took it further, and this is to answer your question. I also explained it to them. I said, you are my octopus. And we are all an octopus, and there is no brain. And if there is a brain, it's a multiple brain. And you have to know, I need you guys. Like, you don't know this. But while I'm in my bubble, I can feel each one of you. I feel you breathe. And do with this what you want. But just have the sensibility, knowing that this is what happens in me. So when I go down in the basement to see the ghosts, and when I go down into the sadness and down into the pain, you know what I do? I hold your hands. I'm holding all of you guys' hands. Even someone putting up a light, you know, somewhere behind me, somewhere far away. They are part of what I do always.
Yeah.
It's something that I feel, you know.
1 second. So sorry, he told us that we could sit in here. The gentleman the manager of the other restaurant.
It would be this room because there's actually architects.
We could totally get back there now.
This room is fine. This room kind of gets cornered off.
We'll get back there because we only came in here because of the sound of the other. Sure thing.
That makes total sense.
Sure thing.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
And I'll close this too. That way you'll have.
Okay.
Thank you
so much. Everybody stay wired. Walk with me.
I love that everybody stay
This is
wired.
it, Vicky. We gotta roll with the punches.
See, we had the octopus now. That's exactly what I mean. I'm always wired and attached to someone. I couldn't even do it alone. Like, it would be such an illusion. It is an illusion anyway. I mean, this whole thing here is an illusion, but
Yes. It's funny. We should leave that in, right? Just that.
we should leave it
movement
in. Because also it proves the point that every actor, I think, who thinks he can do this alone
Yes.
is in a very bad illusion. Because just think of The Wire. I am actually all the time wired to something or someone.
Yes.
So it has to become part of my work.
If I got that letter from you, I wouldn't show up the next day because I would feel too responsible.
Well, I wanted them to feel that because they think, oh, the actor over there, he's doing his thing and always complaining that I'm too loud. I'm not complaining you're too loud. You can be loud, but just know that whatever sound comes off of you will be part of my Sisi.
Right.
I just want you to know it.
Right.
And to come back to my point, this is another way that I wake people up. That's exactly what I like doing. I like going, okay, because that's the way we are asleep. We get a job, they give us a job and they give us a place and they say, no, this is what you do. And then we do this and we go and we become better at it and better at it and become perfect at it. But we become so cold and we become so isolated in this. That's why I write these letters and I talk to people and I go and I hug the electrician. Because I say, look, we are doing this together. This whole life we live here is a group experiment.
Yes.
You know, and you...
Do you think every actor that doesn't know they are affected? Do you know what I mean? Is it?
I think even if they don't want to, they will be affected.
Yeah.
And otherwise it takes so much energy. I think the only way to not be affected would be...
And like you're saying, that energy that it takes actually affects then the work. Because you're building up a thing that you need in order to exist with those distractions.
Yes.
And then that actually affects you in a negative way.
And I think chasing away the distractions and not incorporating them is what looks in the eyes of an actor. That's that thing that sometimes looks fake. That's why you have a feeling, this is not authentic, this is fake, when it's all always fake, right? But why does an actor sometimes look like you feel uncomfortable? That's really what...
Yes.
You know, there's no way of acting wrong. The only thing that can happen is that we get this weird feeling of, oh, this feels weird, this is uncomfortable. And I think it's because they use the brain all the time to get rid of something that's already part of them anyway. And then the energy just goes wrong and leaves their body, and then what comes out of your mouth is not coherent to what comes out of your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And the spectator can tell, and then it
Yes.
feels wrong.
Yes. Yes.
So I think I can never go wrong because I am just there.
Right.
You know?
Right. The last time you were on, you talked about, you made the analogy that if you were a builder of chairs,
Yeah.
certain directors know that you're that kind of builder of chairs, and so that's why they work with you. Because I was asking you, how are you able to work like this when people don't know what to expect, you know? So did Marie know that you were this builder of chairs the first time you guys worked together? Do you know what I mean? Like that, how
Before
you
she
work.
met me, she didn't. But I think working with me, she could tell. And after Phantom Thread, it was approved. You know, that's the beauty of Phantom Thread, really. Because actually, I do what I do, what I've always been doing. But after Phantom Thread, people can trust me. They can go, oh no, she's done it before. Yeah. I
Right.
got the Chiquita banana sticker, you know?
Approved.
Yeah.
Stamp.
Of course, she knew me from working the first time, but before working the first time, again, this thing that is definitely part of movie making, but it is kind of spiritual, is how do things come about? Why do they happen like this? Why do they not happen otherwise? And the way she came to me is someone left the project really shortly before. And I've happened to do quite a few roles like that. And every time I do, the people say, oh no, this is right. So she didn't know, but she had this feeling. And someone mentioned my name and she said, who's Vicky Krieps? And is she not much too young for this role? Everyone was 10 years older in that movie. But she said, I entered the room and she knew, you know. And so there is something about actors that is not only about being an actor, but about carrying energy, carrying an opening, carrying love, carrying something. And that's something she saw. So I think there she then relied on this, and I became this even more. She was really relying on me in that movie because she is also very sensitive and an artist, and that is very hard for her. She's different than me, and she can get anxieties and she can get very scared. And so that movie, the first movie we did together, almost stopped because she had like a depression or melancholia or whatever you call it, a workover. What is that word? A burnout.
Yeah, burnout. Yeah.
So I helped her carry her through that film because I can get very strong sometimes. And again, I think that's not only me. Like, I don't know where it comes from, but in moments of trouble and in moments of great pain, I get incredibly strong and I can carry other people with me. And I carried her that time. So she knew in a way who she was working with and what she was relying on. But when we did the Corsage, we had reached a point in both of our careers where we had understood we are weak because we are women. You know, we cry, we get upset, we are scared of certain things. We have little children that take so much energy of us that sometimes it's unfair and you just have less energy. But we accepted this, and instead of fighting it or instead of trying to turn it into something strong and be like, I'm so strong, we just accepted the weakness. And that becomes strong.
Yes.
Ultimately.
Yes.
And this is this movie really, because every day we were making this movie, we were not two heroes on a set being like, oh, we're so cool, we're gonna have this other take on Elizabeth, you know. We were very quiet and two little girls who are like, okay, we're climbing really high, don't look down because then we fall, you know?
In the Q&A at MoMA, it sounded like you guys had a lot of fun with this unknowing.
Yes, we had fun with the unknowing. Once we were in the hotel room with a glass of wine. Like, I mean, the knowing of what we do was fun. And knowing that we are experimenting. And even in the moments sometimes, yes, of course, yeah, now I remember. We had a lot of fun in moments where, you know, you must imagine there's this huge banquet and room and all these extras, and everybody's told, when the Empress gets up, you have to get up. But only me and Marie, we knew in which way and how much I would misbehave. And there was a lot of misbehaving, more than in the movie even, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I would get up and do things. There's one scene I remember, I got up and I went to the corner and I made a headstand, you know, with the whole dress falling down. And those were great moments we could use to get people alert and I think she's interested in the same thing as me. It's just something truthful and something real in this world, you know, that we're in.
Yeah.
And we just found that as a way to bring that awareness, awakeness about.
Mm-hmm.
So we had fun, but we were both suffering from my suffering. You know, there was a day I remember, it's when he paints me, and now it's in the trailer and everyone thinks it looks so beautiful. But it was a terrible day, because that day not only was I in the corset, which made me not be able to eat, not be able to really, I couldn't sit, I couldn't, and then this dress also blocked my arms, so now I couldn't even drink, and I had a straw, and I had to bend down
Oh my God.
from standing to drink from a straw. And Marie really thought, oh my God, I'm trying to make a movie about liberation of a woman and I'm trapping my actress like this. And she could see my pain. And I look over to her and there she's standing behind her mask, crying. And I cry and she's crying, but we don't talk about it and no one talks about it. But we were connected in this pain, because we knew this is very painful, but this is what we want to talk about, because this is what we need to talk about. But even if we were having fun, we were also, I don't know, very serious about it, I think. And the days were very quiet and very concentrated all the time, because we had little time and we had a lot to do in every day. So it could only work if everyone was going, and not really question it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But with her, like with PTA, like with Mathieu and Marie, these are the three directors I could name in that way, I was telepathically connected. Like, there's something I don't need to know from them. They don't need to know from me.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is the most interesting way to work, really, when you make movies.
And you were saying, speaking of Hold Me Tight, that even on that, there was this feeling of, we don't know what this film is going to be.
Yeah, because
like every day.
Yeah, because he didn't know the editing. He hadn't decided on his editing. So
yeah.
when sometimes I put on my costume and I wondered, is this the beginning? Is it the end? Is she still in the same at the end? Because I myself got lost in what's real and what is her imagination. And in the beginning he had her working somewhere in Spain, and then finally I was working on that boat, but I lost track of it, you know, like, is she going to go away and work, and is she done coming back to solve her life problem, you know?
Yeah.
I'm always lost, really, in all my films.
What is that? It seems like you, unlike other actors, that is not a place of worry for you. Like, lost is, that's okay. You can work with it maybe more than if the opposite of that, which is like stricture.
Is really difficult for me.
Yeah.
So when I'm lost, I go into a space that's similar to meditation, and I know that I don't know anything about this life.
Mm-hmm.
But if I don't know anything, I know everything too.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I just ease into this feeling of nothing, which is everything. No one is everyone. And that carries me, and that gives me great information, and then I will just suddenly do something that is so right for the film. I don't know where I got it from. I don't know where it comes from sometimes myself. I don't know how I'm able to cry like that in moments or have the right instinct. And when I am with people, like now I wrapped a movie that was a Western movie with Viggo Mortensen, who's a great actor, but similar to Daniel, someone who needs to know what he's doing and needs to be prepared. And that was really difficult. That was very difficult because I came from the other end and he came from the other end, and I had to still find my way. And this was the first time building my chair was difficult. Because I was surrounded by people who constantly wanted to know why I'm building it that way and what am I doing and what glue am I using, and then they would want to try and show me how to glue the thing, and I'd be like, no, please, just, I don't, you know? So I have difficulties too sometimes. It's not always easy.
What does that chair look like now? Have you seen the chair?
Of the last movie?
Yeah.
I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't. I don't know.
Did you
I
leave
think I
it
got
thinking
really...
someone can sit on it and I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know how far we can go with this analogy.
No.
Is it a chair?
It's a chair, and I think it was built. I was angry making it, and that might be interesting. You know? Yeah. Because I got really irritated by it, and almost my acting sometimes felt like a rah. Like, I need this space. You know, let me breathe and evolve in that space, and I don't know. So I'm really, really interested and looking forward to see how that came out. Yeah. Because in the end, I do always want to do the best for the film, and I want people to be happy with what I do. Yes. It's not that I go, oh, you don't get it, you know, you're stupid. Right. You know, I really want to try and just, it irritates me. Like if I get normal directions like other people even want and need, and I'm not saying they're wrong, it just what and who I am. If I get these kind of directions, I fall. It's like you say that you shouldn't wake up a sleepwalker. Right. Sleepwalking, they can go over the roof, but if you wake them up, they fall. Right. And I'm like that. Right.
I have a very strange sleep disorder where I'm yelling. It's a parasomnia. I'm yelling at night. Oh, wow. And I act out my dreams, and I actually keep asking my wife to interrupt it. But one day I'm worried I'm gonna like fly off into the mental illness world.
Maybe.
if she breaks me on it.
But what is exactly mental illness? See, that's really an interesting question.
Yes.
Because I was scared of this. I remember as a little girl thinking, what is crazy and what if I go there? And now grown up, I'm thinking I was only afraid of going there because I was told this is bad. And then now I think of all these actors, like for instance Marilyn Monroe and people, if they were not maybe just on the other side, and there's nothing wrong about it, but we want to explain it, we want to name it and find an illness for it, and that's what made these people ill. Yes. When really they were just tapped into something.
Right.
You know?
And a good society would find a way to deal with that.
Yeah.
We can't call ourselves a successful society if we don't.
No, exactly.
Right?
Especially if we make people sick that are not sick, if we make people sad because they think they have to behave the whole day long. Yes. How sad is that? That's also why I made this movie. It's, you know, we are all kings and queens and emperors and empresses running around carrying some sort of crown someone put on us and going to this meeting and behaving here and behaving there. You know, even when you go to school and the other parents and then, oh no, what will they think of me and I have to behave. Constantly behaving. And it's so sad. And no wonder we are all in a mass depression, hidden behind some screen of we see ourselves on Instagram. That's again why I did the movie. I really felt that Sissy was the first victim of that, you know, celebrity thing. And we are now all becoming Sissy. Because we all know how we look and we become our own dictator telling us, oh, you have to lose weight. Oh, you have to look like this. Or why do you look like this morning? Why do we not wake up and say, how nice that you're here again. One more day. Wow, really. I mean, tap on your shoulder. You did really well. You look so tired because I know why. Because you were working hard and because this was not easy today. And no, what we do is we look in the mirror and go, you piece of shit, why do you look like that? Yeah. And who told us this? Right. You're not born thinking like this. How wonderful. Imagine how beautiful it would be. All these beautiful people walking upright, straight, looking straight ahead thinking, here I am, this is me, and it's totally fine. And who are you?
You'd figure we would get this right by now.
You know?
Right? That's what's so depressing.
It is. But I believe that it's changing, by the way.
You do?
I do. And I do. I'm the proof. Like, why do I even exist? Like, years ago, someone like me would not exist as an actress. They would say, you're too complicated. They would say, why do you not wear makeup? Why do you... Many things. You know, I would have pissed off someone, and he would have, or she would have made whatever, that I don't work again, and they would have said, who do you think you are? You don't need to learn your lines, or you fucking hippie.
Yeah.
But I'm here, and people listen to me, and I made this movie, and I misbehave, and people love it.
Yeah.
Because they're in need for this.
Yes. So then that brings up the question then, how did you feel about the way this movie was going to end? Whose idea was that? How did you feel about that? Because first time I saw it, I thought it was interesting. Second time I was on the verge of tears, and I didn't like it. I didn't want it to happen, you know. And then I was thinking, you know, when you can eat cake finally, why would you want life to end?
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Like you're eating the cake. You're really saying fuck you.
I know, but I thought, so for me, it's not the end.
Yes.
Me and my children, we are very, we are
That's
convinced she's going to swim.
Oh,
Maybe become a
that's
dolphin, or
interesting.
as a human, we don't know.
Yeah.
But me and my kids, it's so
That's
sweet.
so
My kids
cool.
are like you. They're like, no, that's not the end. So I think it's very symbolic. It's like a fairy tale. We could have made her fly, but then it would be sci-fi.
Right.
You know, but actually it's flying.
It is, that bird's such a beautiful shot.
Yeah.
3 shots. So
That was
beautiful.
crazy that to be there to witness this woman, because she was a stunt woman from Belgium.
Oh, jeez.
This tiny little piece of woman, like beautiful being. She was so beautiful. I don't know why. Her energy. I think because she was so nervous as well.
Mm-hmm.
She was really nervous and really scared, but she wanted to do it so badly. She really wanted to do this, and she really prepared for it. But at the same time, she was so scared. She was shaking. That's how scared she was, because it was so high.
So she really did jump into the water.
She really did jump into the water, and the only thing that's different is the boat was not moving, of course.
Uh-huh.
But the boat was moving. We were out on high sea, and she went to the front, and I could tell how nervous she is. And then she jumped in, and we did it only twice, because the second time something happened. So she jumped in, had a neoprene under her, I think, yes. And the plan was, there was like this little boat just outside frame. So as soon as she jumps in, there was a diver going down for her as well, to make sure she comes up fast enough, and with all the costumes. She was wearing the shoes and the dress, which is very dangerous. I remember them saying, well, this is usually not what we would do, but okay, she's okay to do it, so, you know. And I think that's what women connect. Like, we know when there's a great story about a woman to be told, we are ready to jump. You know what I mean? Like, because we are all women are somehow in need of this scream, in need of this jump, in need of to be seen that way. So she also did, and she wanted to. And the second time she jumped, though, the boat had a problem, and it didn't start the motor. And she was underwater, and she said, luckily I had this intuition to grab my dress. So as she hits the water, she grabbed the dress so it would be up.
Wow.
And she was able to move her legs so she could come up alone. And then they went to get her.
Wow.
But that was scary. When the boat didn't leave, 200 people on the boat held their breath. We were like, yeah.
And then it's a beautiful ending. And
Yeah, it was Marie's idea. She wrote it that way, and when I read it, I immediately felt it. I knew that was the right way to go, because how do you end this? And also, we didn't want to let the people down, making it more beautiful than reality, because there is something about depression that is very dark and strong and almost, it's like a beast. You almost can't fight, conquer. Many people can't. So sometimes when you make your character stronger, you let down the people, because then they think, why
Yes.
am I so weak? Why
Yes,
can't I
good
do
point.
it, you know?
Good point.
And she's
Yes.
clearly depressive, and I think maybe why she lives up at the end is only because she knows she will end this
Yes.
finally.
Yes.
And she wanted to, all her life, you know, before she died in real life, tragically from someone stabbing her with a nail file in her heart. The night before, in one of her poems, she wrote, I want to escape through a tiny opening. And in German it means Schlitz, which means, a Schlitz is what you would do with a knife to a canvas. Like, it's an opening, but like that, which is what the nail file did to her heart.
That's crazy.
So when I read this, I had that's what I needed to be her, or to betray her, was to know that this poor woman, all she wanted all her life was to get away. Was actually really humble. She didn't want it to change. She didn't want people to change. She just wanted to get away. She's like, please, can I just leave this thing? And then I knew I can love her.
Yeah.
Because at first, reading all the books, you really get an impression she was an asshole, which she was too.
Right.
But I needed some
You
kind
needed
of
something, yes.
some empathy for her.
Yes.
And when I read this in the poem, I thought, oh my God, that's what she wanted all her life.
And then she manifested the cut.
And she manifested the cut. It's
Now I love the ending.
yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, because
I needed to hear that, I think.
Me too, I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
And I needed to read that to
Yes.
understand the ending. Because to be quite honest, when I read the script the first time, and after Phantom Thread, it was hard to wrap my mind around what else would I do and what next, and because it was so perfect. And I read the script, and I was very afraid that Marie wanted to be too cool. You know, I was like, oh, what if this is too cool? You know, like, oh, and then she jumps off the boat and there's modern music playing and cool. That would have been my absolute nightmare, that we made this movie to be cool and to show how cool we are eventually by using her to show how cool we are, you know.
Yes.
That would have been my problem, my fear.
Yes.
So for me, this was really the clue I needed. And then when I found this, I knew I can do this film.
Vicky Krieps, you give me hope. And I mean that. And I thank you.
Thank you.
Back to One is a production of Filmmaker Magazine, which is a publication of The Gotham, formerly IFP. Listen to back episodes of this podcast at filmmakermagazine.com or wherever you get your podcasts.